Hey everybody, this is Petey from the Spin Rack. We also have
Calvin Ellis, ready to rock.
Mars had this thing he wanted us to look at, which is from Mind Hunter Comic Books. It was from a year ago. They wanted to point out the books that don't sell. So if you look at the F as in a grade, that would be your lowest, and then going to the A, S, and then God tier are the ones which do. So at the God tier is Howard the Duck. That they're saying sells the most. The next tier is Star Wars, the New Teen Titans, the X Men, and Ghost Rider. Now, um, I would say something about that. But move on. Batman is in the A, so this is it. Your basic grade Spider Man, Green Lantern, Wonder Woman, GI Joe, Superman, and Doctor Strange. And your B is the Hulk, Spectacular Spider Man, some other Spider Man title. I can't read what the thing is. And then you have Daredevil, Wolverine, Action, World's Finest, Justice League of America, and X Factor. Now, C is Fantastic Four, Flash, Detective Comics, Avengers, New Mutants, Sandman, Moon Knight, the Turtles comic, and we had Transformers and X Force. Then your D's, which I think if the movie had done better, maybe Masters Kung Fu was not in the sense that it did well, but it was sort of a transcending movie where you were looking at it and you were thinking of the lead as the master of Kung Fu. Maybe have done more, but they're saying that Marvel Team Up, Punisher, Simpsons, Thor, Superboy, Iron Man, Submariner, and Animal Man. Then at the very bottom, it's West Coast Avengers, Archie, Eternals, Alpha Flight, Captain America, Legion of Superheroes, Power Pack, Excalibur, and the Thing. All right, so I've given you enough precursor. What do you say, sir, since you sell them yourself? Which ones strike out as the things in the lower tier that do sell, and what in the higher tier that don't?
Okay, and now I understand what this. I thought this was something else. This looks just like, oh, this is what sells as a comic book seller.
Yeah.
Archie should not be this low. Archie should be higher. Everything else there is pretty much okay. Howard the Duck, there's no way Howard the Duck should be in the God tier. There's just no way. The only one I could see is his first appearance, and that's not even Howard the Duck. That's a Man Thing.
Oh, yeah,
So
man.
Howard the Duck should definitely be lower. What was this? Some of the stuff okay, that's Star Wars. Star Wars should be lower. Yeah, Ghost Rider. I'm like, who? Yeah, I don't understand these sales at all. I don't understand these sales at all. Most of these books are like all out of whack. World's Finest. I'm believing these are books. You're selling World's Finest. Okay, just that particular run. Doesn't matter where it ended. But unless you're selling like key issues of World's Finest, there's just no reason for it to be high. That's a lower mid tier book at the end of the day. Okay, unless you're only selling the Silver Age stuff, it just doesn't make a lot of sense. Yeah, I mean, Thor. Superboy should be a little higher. Iron Man should be a little higher. Yeah, it's just yeah. I'm not sure how again. I'm not sure how they came to these particular numbers. My own particular experience is that which books would be really right there at the top of what's here. Uh, at the top, without a doubt, from what we have here, would be two books. Two books in that God tier would be Amazing Spider-Man and Batman. Those two are, without a doubt, your consistent sellers. You can sell those. I mean, you can sell them at any particular given time. Then you might have whatever's Batman or Spider-Man related, like Detective Comics, or you have Amazing. Then you would have Spider-Man. You might have Web of Spider-Man, that type of stuff. But those are well up there at the top. You probably can throw. Sorry, you can probably throw X-Men up there. You can throw X-Men up there as well, and then some X-Men related titles, and then the rest of the stuff is really just going to bounce around. These are not, most of these are not long-standing titles. They're just not long-standing titles for right now where you're getting get any particular interest from modern readers. So a lot of the stuff has to be the older books, and it's got to be the key older books. Like I've had twice. I have had runs of Justice League of America, including issue number one. And the put them up for sale. The only issue of Justice League of America that anyone has any significant interest in is the first issue. That's it. Nobody cares about two, three, four. There's a bunch of first appearances. Nobody seems to really care about those books at all for the most part. But Justice League number one, you can sell that every single time. So I'm not exactly sure how this is coming about, but definitely Archie should be higher. Archie, if Archie is this low, you're selling the wrong Archie books.
Mm,
To be honest, a lot of times it's easier for me to sell an Archie comic than it is to sell a Superman comic.
mm. Um, I think some things shouldn't be on here, like the Eternals and the Thing.
I was just about to say that.
You know, because you can kind of decide to put Alpha Flight on there since it's over 100 issues. I might not put the West Coast either. The hard part is Submarine and Iron Man aren't big big sellers, but they have some keys. So same with obviously definitely Superboy, but some things that don't have a long run, like Eternals and Power Pack and Thing, they definitely don't need to be on there. Just someone to say, hey, remember the Thing? Moon Knight in the middle? I don't know about that. What do you say about that being in the middle?
Moon Knight?
Yeah,
No, Moon Knight should be further to the bottom.
yeah.
Moon Knight's Moon Knight's big number books are from Werewolf by Night. So from his own particular issue, not so much. I mean, I remember once I had a full run of Moon Knight, and it took a while. It took a while. This was every issue, great condition on the books. I believe what the series wrapped up, I think, with like issue 41 or something, and had every issue there. And asking, I think I was asking for like 250 at the time. Nobody wanted to pay it. Nobody wanted to pay it. That's the first series. That's the best series. Sienkiewicz art, all every single key that would go there. Nobody wanted to pay that for a complete collection. Took a while. Took a while. And I think it might have actually moved closer. No, thankfully it moved before that horrible TV series came out. But it's just not this big seller. Now you have issues of Moon Knight that sell well because of they're rare and people like the cover art. Like there's some really cool covers that Sienkiewicz did afterwards for other series, but the actual issues of Moon Knight itself, no. And I mean, I don't know. This could be regional,
Mhm.
place where maybe they didn't get a lot of those issues in. That does happen because I've found that there's like on the East Coast, certain books are more plentiful than they are on the West Coast. But Moon Knight, yeah, Moon Knight should be lower down.
Yeah, my last thing I'll say is a testament of the time because when in the well, more so the 80s, in the 80s, when you'd have a key artist, oh, this is the first Frank Miller, or this is the first Byrne, and though there are no, excuse me, sorry, there are no key issues as far as X Force outside of X Force One. You do have Capullo joining that, and he would be big fame on Batman. At the same time, he went from Haunt, which was not selling well, to Batman becoming the top seller for a long time at DC. Then you also have Tony Daniels, who did some of his first work on X Factor, and it shows you at the time where people were able to sell the artist's first issue or first comic they did and say this is their first kind of book and be like, nah, now it's like, no, we aren't interested in that anymore as far as comic sales. But it used to be a big thing, at least in my opinion. And I would see first such and such, first this person, you know. So, or Todd McFarlane's what was it, GI Joe issue, or his Spitfire issue, something like that. And they're like, oh, this is Todd McFarlane's first such and such, Burns' first giant size Dracula, that sort of thing. And even if it was very rough, it used to be like, oh, check this out type of deal. But it's no more. So we disputed it, and I think, in my opinion, all of Cal's things have made total sense. And this is, I mean, but this is this mine. Mint Hunter comic books. This is their estimation. Would you? Let me. Last question is Ghost Rider. Do you see any life as far as selling Ghost Rider? The second series or the first series, whichever one.
First series, no. Second series, no.
Wow.
And second series is with do you remember the name? Johnny Blaze, I'll never forget. But
Danny
because there's been
Ketch.
so yeah, Danny Ketch, second series with Danny Ketch. Like his first issue, if you have it in a newsstand, that retails pretty well. But overall the series,
Mhm.
because at one point I think there was a cover that a whole bunch of guys were paying, like $10 for it was a good number at the time. And then I think they realized how many copies of that book there were out there. And it's like literally the number plummeted by like 80%. You couldn't get anything for it. So while that series, I think it's a very important series because the majority of readers are more familiar with Danny Ketch as Ghost Rider than they are with Johnny Blaze. And I, Johnny Ketch was also Ghost Rider when they did the whole Midnight Suns thing, which is very popular. So, but you look at the series now, and there's issues that should be retailing more, and they're just not. So, yeah, not. But the original series is more surprising because the original series you have some of the bigger keys, like Damian Hellstrom is in there. You have the first issue. You have some this classic story with the Death Race. But again, I've got like a complete series. I've got the entire run from 1 to 81, and you know you're not going to walk into a store just any day and like here, every issue of the first volume of Ghost Rider is right here for you. But if you want to get premium numbers on it, you're going to have to wait. The interest is just not there.
So Mars, to give a quick recap, even though the orders changed for as far as what Cal had, he said the major two titles that should be in the God tier are Batman and Spider Man, and possibly the X Men. So that's where we kind of netted that Howard the Duck maybe the first appearance, but the Batman, Spider Man, and X Men, maybe X Men, as far as Cal's estimation, would be at the God tier. Any
Yeah. So I
thoughts
mean,
on it?
yeah, his I think the guy in this video, and probably I don't want to if you I suggest you go watch it if you want, but this guy was basically saying that out of his store where he's located, these are the things that sold, and he can't even explain why Howard the Duck is selling. And like you said, it may be just they may be local fans, it may be that they want a specific issue, who knows? He did the first
How's he pricing them?
I don't know, but the one thing he did is the first thing he put up was Spider-Man and Batman. He's like these sell all the time, you know. These are like very very popular all the time. So he gets that the A and B, and then there's certain like he says the difference in the B row is that there's certain things sell all the time. Certain key episodes or key issues sell better on some of those. So that's his thing. I don't necessarily agree with this. I think like Punisher's way too low. That needs to like go up a lot more. And of course, I
In
mean he
terms of
doesn't
sales?
in terms of sales. Yeah, I mean at least from what I can see, just going to the different comic book stores, Punisher picks up. I mean they do well with a particular demographic. You know, if you don't buy a lot,
Where would
which
you where would you put him? Where would you put him?
put him more like I mean not that high up, probably like another C for a little bit more. But I mean,
All right,
he's saying
I
F
agree.
is
I think
F is F is he says these never sell, basically. I mean only like a probably key issue and that's about it. One or two keys. He says the others, and then the fact that he has store, he's saying the whole runs, some runs are just not it. It's just a key episodes and that's it. While up here, he's like, the further up you go, everything sells. I was really surprised by the X-Men, and he said he was surprised by the Ghost Rider, that it sells that much. But he's like, you put the Ghost Rider, someone's eventually going to buy it, you know. Star Wars, I agree with. Man, Star Wars is a monster. I think I read some Star Wars comics, and sometimes I really don't think they do much. I mean, the
Star
one thing,
Wars for me is ice cold.
dude, at Midtown Comics, and then maybe the tourist, maybe that's one of the things that I'm going to the stores with the tourists. And you got to look, Midtown has different comic book stores. So the one downtown, they tend to have more stuff left over as opposed to the one on Times Square and then Grand Central because they don't have a Times Square, they run to Grand Central real quick, right? But um, Times Square, it sells. I mean, like people come out from all over and they're looking for Spider-Man. They're looking for all the Spider-Man, not just the regular Amazing. They're looking for Miles Morales. They're looking for Star Wars. They're
Yeah.
looking, so those hit
Well,
Daredevil.
I think
Where's this guy? Did this guy see where he's located?
That guy, he was like in Maryland or around that area, Virginia.
I think yeah, that could definitely have something to do with it. That could definitely have something to do with it
Yeah. So
also
it's
because we're spoiled out over here where you get like Midtown and you got three different stores that are just Midtown Comics, and literally there's plenty of comic stores out where we're at. Maryland, I'm not sure how what the proliferation of comic book stores are.
yeah, I don't see no Blade here. I don't
well,
see
I
no
think it's
Luke
more
Cage.
titles that aren't titles that are these are back issues.
No,
So
he was talking key issues. Probably you're right.
yeah,
Probably
that would
back
be
issue.
back
Yeah,
issues. Yeah.
yeah. You're
Yeah,
right.
these would have to be back issues. It's Submariner's on here. It's got to be back
He
issues.
said Doctor Strange. I was surprised by that. I was like, Doctor Strange. It sells. I mean, I go to the
Doctor
stores.
Strange is a that is not an easy book to sell.
That's what I'm saying. I always see a lot of Doctor Strange here. So probably in his area, you know, who knows? He's probably dealing with CIA guys. They want something
No,
wild.
one of the reasons why online sales for me are always better than in-person sales is because if I'm here in New York doing some sort of con, the guys over here, they're always like, budgeting in trying to get the best deal. Oh, you know what? I'll go someplace else. And they can. They got literally another 20 different places they can go through looking to see if they find what they want. But the guy out in Maryland or Des Moines or wherever it is, they may only have one comic book store for the entire county.
Yeah.
That's it. And so then it becomes, hey, it's not a big deal for me to pay this price plus tax plus shipping to finally get the book that I want. So online, it's a different thing. But if this is a store, because then the two things I would always ask is how are the books priced, and what's your how are the books priced? What's your location? Because the fact that he's doing so poorly with Archie, I would love to go to this guy's store and buy all of them up, and then I could put everything online for what they should be, but selling for. But that's the other thing. You may be in a region where people just don't have any interest in this book there, but online there's plenty of interest. I sell plenty. I sell plenty of Archie comics just because these guys collect bikini covers, and every other book you look at, you got Betty and Veronica on a beach in a bikini.
Mhm.
Interesting. I never thought of it like that. I was like, okay, I thought it was going to be you're going to say because of the Archie TV series on CW, and so some people have the nostalgia for that, but I guess not.
No, Archie is look. Archie's a fun read. Every so often, I'll sit down and read an Archie comic. It's fun. It's no big deal. It's not very heavy or anything of that nature. But in terms of selling it and making money on it, that would be really hard because there's no key issues. Archie doesn't have a cohesive storyline, say like Amazing Spider-Man or Iron Man for that matter. It's not like these stories happen and then somehow we're weaving them together. They're in this perpetual, high school time loop, if you will. But what does sell are covers where you have like you have like what they would like to call good girl art or that type of stuff, bikini covers, maybe like one particular artist. But once I found out that those particular things sell, they would also have like innuendo covers. I was like, oh, okay, so this is where that's at. So I would pick those out, look for them. Some of the ones people didn't even realize these things existed until I started selling it, and then all of a sudden it became, oh well, got to find it. So that's how I make money on Archie. I don't buy just like any particular Archie book at the end of the day. It's got to have certain cover art. It's got to have a certain cover artist. I'll, very try to be very discriminating as to, what's on the cover. And that's where you can make some money. If you're just trying to sell the regular Archie issues, good luck.
I mean, and that's something that he's saying there. But I mean, let's talk about more modern comics. Like, do they hold up relative to this type of list? Do you see like, and I don't know, I'm talking about modern. I'm talking about probably in the last 4 or 5 years, right? Do they hold up to the value compared to some of this stuff? Like right now, I still think Spider-Man and Batman just do bonkers deals, and I think we are just talking about Ultimate Spider-Man, which is part of that whole extension of that line, does well. But does the Thor is still back here? I mean, I don't really see the Hulk is high. Yeah, the Hulk does definitely holds up. You know,
Thor
um,
is like Walt Simonson's run on Thor is probably one of the best, if not the best run on Thor. It's very well known. A lot of people know it. Well, I'm sorry, just that was like literally repeating myself. It's very well known, great art, and it's probably the Thor. run that most people would be familiar with because that's a time period where guys came into comics with it. They didn't necessarily come in it with the Stanley and Kirby issues. However, the only issue from that run that drives any sort of sales is issue 337, first appearance of Beta Ray Bill. That's it.
Yes.
That
Burn the
is
but then burn the
it.
comic. That's what I say. Burn it.
That's it. The second appearance of Beta Ray Bill, nah. Third appearance, nah. This, that, and this is where you would want to have a complete run, so you would have the full storyline. And that's where you'll see a difference. Because you go and you look for the omnibus, you got to pay some money for that. You might pay $200-300 for the omnibus. But $200-300 for the actual run? No. No, we're not paying any money for that. All we want is the first appearance, Beta Ray Bill. That's the only issue that matters. The story, they could care less about. They really could. I mean, it's a great run, great stories, great art. No. And that's pretty much Thor all over the place, with the exception of the older issues, Journey into Mystery, the Silver Age stuff, which will definitely retail better. The modern stuff, forget about the last 4 or 5 years. You go back to 1980s. It's really hard to find stuff where like, okay, guys have an interest in buying this particular Thor issue. That's tough. That's tough. You can put Thor right there with yeah, around the same time period, you can put Thor right there with Iron Man. I don't know why this dude is trying to sell Power Pack. Power Pack, you give it to some kids and say, "Here, kids, have fun." You're not making any money on Power Pack. You're just not. Okay, you're just not. So I mean, Flash, at one point when the Flash series was out, there was a very healthy interest in Flash. There was a very healthy interest in Flash, and I was able to do really good numbers on it. I don't know what you do on it right now. I
Well,
don't.
he was saying that the Cat Flash, there's certain covers that are great. The one with the yellow what is the reverse
Reverse
flash?
Flash?
Yeah, that one. He said, of course, the Flash, what do you call it? The when they go timeline gets changed.
Mhm.
So he's
Oh,
saying like this
Flashpoint, Flashpoint.
Flashpoint, right? So he's like some of those sell, but overall the series, not so much, you know.
Well,
So
you have key issues in the Flash run, but like the first run with, rather the second run with Barry Allen, it's to be honest, for the most part, it's just kind of there. It's just, there's issues here and there, but story-wise, I mean, they got to the point with story-wise where they thought the best thing they could do to make Barry Allen interesting was to make him a murderer. So, that's where you're at with the end of the day. It's a yeah, it's just kind of there. And then the other problem you have with those older issues is that once they rebooted the DC universe, it was Wally West who was the Flash, and you got to see him really grow into the role. So that's the guy a lot of these cats know to be the Flash. Then they brought back Barry. They brought back Barry Allen. At one point, Impulse Bart Allen was the Flash. You got a new Kid Flash in the form of another Wallace West because of the show. It's so you got like eight, literally like 7, 8 different guys who were the Flash, and that doesn't help interest in what when DC decided that they were going to reboot, and they're like, "Oh, you don't need to know about these issues." That hurt back issue sales with those type of characters. Superboy, however, is different. Superboy, even though they did that, the Silver Age stuff from Superboy, that sells well. That sells well. Anytime I get those books, I never sell them because I'm a collector, but those books sell well. You don't have any problem selling them. I don't know what issues he might be selling the Bronze Age stuff, and that would be the New Adventures of Superboy. And the best thing to do is put all that together and sell it that way, not individual issues. But the Silver Age Superboy stuff sells well.
well, that's cool. Competing, anything on your end before we close
Um,
this out?
no, I mean, outside of having a one period I had a hard time getting some issues of Star Wars for at a decent price, but I got trades for that, which wasn't as good as having the originals, but I still was able to look at that stuff. It's stuff that Walt Simonson was doing with Tom Palmer. See some of the stuff before Thor. So, yeah, I think let's see. Um, it's the hard part is actually, well, I don't know. I don't have anything more to say about it, but it seems like some things shouldn't have been brought up, like say the Thing, or Eternals, because Eternals never really sold, and even with Neil Gaiman and the movie, I don't think there was big movement with the series. Whether I like it or not, I wouldn't have put that there. Same for the Thing. Excalibur for the art and the story, yeah, some periods, yes, but sales wise, um, it's it's the equivalent of what was it? I think in She-Hulk #5, where Byrne had She-Hulk go through the comic book price guide, and got to the Excalibur and said, "Yeah," he said, "Yeah, this stuff is is most expensive. It's like Alan Davis draws great babes." So this is not as far as looking at any of the quality of the stories or whatnot. This is as far as what interest is. So I would say some of these things I would point out to check out, but at the same time, what sells sells, and I can't turn people from saying, hey, you should check out some more Legion of Superheroes or The Thing or Excalibur, Alan Davis Excaliburs, which is a short period, maybe a two-year period, but I can't turn that into big sales for a comic seller. So that's what my last bits.
Okay. Cal, any last bits before we rock it out?
I think it was one of the book I wanted to say something about. Let me do it quick. I think no, Wonder Woman's about right. Yeah, I guess it's just it's just really, really for this guy it's regional. It's regional because I know if I took all the stock I have and probably went there, I'd probably sell out. In New York, in New York and online it's just harder. But yeah, I'm surprised. Well, yeah, definitely you shouldn't have I mean, Power Pack should not be on this list. I think that's malpractice
But
trying
that's
to
worse. That means it's bad. That's what that is.
Power
That
Pack
means it's
having Power
bad.
Pack
That's what it
means
means. Okay.
Power Pack hasn't had a series since the 1980s. So the idea of you having Power Pack and you're selling it now is either you bought it not knowing that you were going to be stuck with it. It's just not something it's not something you should be selling. I would definitely be interested in finding out how he's pricing them because I can't see why something like Howard the Duck is leading the way. I can't see why Howard the Duck is leading the way with everything else.
I would say that even though probably Silver Age, Submariner Cell, and probably some, and the ones that Marvel did also, or Golden Age, Submariner sold, the book at the present time never sold. There's no
Interesting.
period that it sold. It didn't sell well for early Marvel, and didn't sell well for Marvel. The Timely didn't sell well for Marvel Comics, and I think Byrne was saying when he was doing it, he said one of the big time where he got critically acclaimed for the stories, the sales on the book were very low. So he was like, and he was joking about it in the interview. So, but he knew the Submariner was a low seller, so it wasn't a surprise. He hoped, even though Marvel said, "Hey, you do a great Submariner, let's see what happens." And he was like, "I don't know." And Submariner was a very tough sell outside of being introduced in the movie recently. So
Okay,
my
interesting.
last bit.
All right, so hey, wrapping up. That's thank you for that enlightening thing. Our comic book hero for giving us some insight in his on what's going on in his world. Petey, thank you very much. So hey, if you like what you hear, if you want to hear more of this, if you want to hear more about Comic Book Hero, please reach out. Okay, give us a comment, thumbs up, spin a rack,
We
Out.
subscribe.
out.
We're out.